Hello everyone, welcome to This Week in Stupid for the 8th of August 2020. Do you guys have a dream? Do you want something that you can't have? I want a time machine. I want a time machine so that I can go back into the time and deplatform this guy.
The organization behind these preparations has almost unlimited financial resources, and it provides both training and leadership based upon years of experience in many other countries. Our enemies are deadly serious about their task, and it's nothing short of national suicide for us to continue to ignore their plans and their progress. The violent revolution becomes of primary value to the communists to the extent to which it can be used to condition the masses psychologically to accept the non-violent revolution, which is offered supposedly as the only alternative. Hoping to avoid further violence and bloodshed, the public is to be pressured into accepting measures that will move the country gradually and legally toward communism, but without calling it that. The strategy of the proletarian revolution calls for the quiet conversion of our government into a communist regime, but under the banner of socialism. Well, what is socialism? All right, let's define it. According to the dictionary, socialism is a political concept based upon the principle of government ownership and control of property, the means of production, and the avenues of commerce. Under socialism, those who run the government, and the communists are confident that in America they eventually will be the ones who do so, those who run the government will know who is to get something and who has to wait, and that represents control over human beings. What has all this to do with the communist revolution in America? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has everything to do with it, because the building of socialism is the communist revolution in America. It represents the process whereby our country can be moved gradually toward communism without the people even being aware of it. No matter what grievance we may have, real or imagined, no matter what national problems we may face, the communists seize upon these as excuses to build socialism. They have one and only one solution for all problems: more government, and then more and more. Here is a book that I think ought to be in every home library. It's entitled Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson. He joined the party as a young man because he honestly believed that the communists were trying to improve the conditions of his people. He was a dedicated communist, and eventually he rose to one of the highest ranks. But after many years, he discovered that instead they were merely planning to use his people in a bloody revolution to destroy America. And when he woke up to this, he dropped out of the party and devoted the rest of his life trying to alert his fellow citizens of all races to the true nature of the Communist Party as he knew it to be from the inside. Manning Johnson said, "Black rebellion was what Moscow wanted. Bloody racial conflict would split America. During the confusion, demoralization and panic would set in. Then finally the Reds say, workers stop work. Many of them seize arms by attacking arsenals. Street fights become frequent. Under the leadership of the Communist Party, the workers organize revolutionary committees to be in command of the uprising. Armed workers seize the principal government offices, invade the residences of the president and his cabinet members, arrest them, declare the old regime abolished, establish their own power." Now, here is a piece of vicious communist propaganda that perhaps some of you have seen. It's called The Crusader. It's written by Robert F. Williams, one of the organizers of the Revolutionary Action Movement. In this issue of The Crusader, the communists call not only for extensive chaos within the cities, but for putting to the torch every village, every forest, every field, and every barn. The plan is for raging fires from one city to the next. The reason? Well, first, there's the value of sheer destruction. Secondly, it would force us to deploy our defenses and rescue units over the widest possible area. The communists point out that as long as our police and National Guard remain concentrated, they're invincible. But if they can be forced to spread out over the entire city and into the countryside as well, then they can be picked off from ambush one by one. And the third value of massive fire.
Don't you think the guy should have been canceled? Like, how was he allowed back in the day to sit there and spew all of those nonsense conspiracy theories? How many people did he put in harm because he was just allowed to have a platform and talk about whatever nonsense he wanted to talk? It's so good we live in 2020, current year, and we have the people from Silicon Valley to protect us. They are the good censor that keep people like him away from us. Anyway, America, the land of the free, yeah. A lot of people are asking me, like, why don't you talk about the elections, V? Like, do you not know from Romania that there are elections in America? Do you not know, V? Okay, fine. I decided to look a little bit into the presidential candidates, and since I've heard a lot about Orange Man, in fact, I've heard a lot about him for the last 4 years, I was like, okay, so who is he going to run against? Like, who is the other candidate? And I decided to tune in and listen a little bit to Joe Biden speak.
And by the way, what you all know, but most people don't know, unlike the African-American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. You go to Florida, you find a very different attitude about immigration in certain places than you do when you're in Arizona. So it's a very different, a very diverse community.
You heard it right here, folks. The man the entire Democratic Party rallies behind, telling it like it is. He's got some spicy opinions, a little bit too extreme for my taste. I mean, he had some other very interesting comments, such as, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And my favorite is, poor kids are just as smart as white kids. I don't know how to unpack that. I think I need a gender studies professor to explain it to me. But yeah, I mean, he represents the party that elected him, right? Apparently, he hasn't picked a vice president yet. And this is a good thing. Now, a lot of people ask me, like, if you're an American, why would you vote for Joe Biden? Like, explain it to me without mentioning Donald Trump. And all I have to say is, like, Team Blue, whoa, 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 Team Blue, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like, there is no higher cognitive thought. It's just pure emotion. It's Team Blue, right? Team Blue can't be bad. Like, by definition, Team Blue is good, Team Red is evil. And therefore, I have to vote Team Blue so that Team Red doesn't win. Isn't that how it works? I don't really care about his vice president. It's good that he does turn out his vice president. Like that would just get the Orange Man to have something else to say and another person to attack. No. You know what? He shouldn't even say who the vice president is. Like, he should just surprise us. I like surprises. You know, like, after he gets elected, he goes like the Germans would say, Überraschung. You know, Google it if you don't know what Überraschung is. But anyway. And by the way, there's now this website that says settle for Biden. Like, a lot of people don't know. It's like, why would you vote for Biden? Because he's a courageous man. Okay? What other president would run with something like this? It's like, settle for me. Like, I know I'm not the best. I know there were better choices, such as Elizabeth Warner or Buttigieg or Bernie Sanders. Like, all of them might have been better candidates than I am. But you just have to settle for me. You know, like, you deserve more, but you just have to settle for me. Who made this website? But you know what? Scratch that. I don't care who made that website. I want to know who at KFC made this. Like, this is just... How do the edgy kids say it on the Twitter? It's just yikes. So we got the chicken. Okay, we got the fried chicken. And the shadow of the fried chicken is the black supremacist logo. What does the Colonel want to say, though? Like, what is the message that I should get? Like, what? Like, is the chicken so bad that after tasting it, you just flip the table and want to overthrow capitalism? I mean, the chicken must be so awful that you want to become a revolutionary so that no country would ever allow chicken to be cooked so poorly ever again. Remember a time when companies would just sell you a product and they would say, hey, buy our product because it's better than our competitor? Like, maybe they should just stick to that. You know, like, buy KFC because we're better than Wendy's or something, you know? Just stop with this nonsense. Just stop it. Now, obviously, they deleted. But unfortunately for them, the internet is forever, and racists managed to get a hold of this picture and share it everywhere now. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, keep away from Colonel's chicken, because it will turn you into a revolutionary, I guess. I mean, this guy probably had a mouthful of KFC. Like, look at this. The media jumped to conclusions, because, hey, the ratings are important. Money, 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 money. Be the first to tell the news. And after they saw that a Democrat headquarters caught fire in Arizona, turns out it must have been one of those KFC connoisseurs from the previous commercial. Because look, it's a Democrat activist. Like, I didn't know there was a niche in the market requiring arsonists, and because none was available, you know, someone from the Democrat Party stepped up and said, all right, I'll do it. I mean, I guess in the confusion, it ended up hurting itself. You know, like, just, I know you hate law and order, and you hate America, and the Democrats are a major part of America, but leave their buildings alone, man. Like, leave their headquarters alone. They didn't do anything to you, okay? The Democrat HQ does not attack you when you sleep. Just leave it there, and everything will be fine, trust me. Just let the Democrats focus on the important things, such as abolishing or defunding the police. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, am I right? Well, apparently police in Portland record highest number of death investigation in a single month in more than 3 decades. Wow, can you imagine, like, being a murderer in Portland, how tiring that must be? Like, it's a tough job right now. They have to work extra out. Holy shit. Didn't they say that they're going to hire some civil servants that, you know, they're going to have like hotlines for the criminals to call, and you're going to find like a psychologist on the other end of the line, and they're going to tell you, well, maybe you shouldn't do it, you know. It's like you're just being misunderstood. What is that? When do we get that? Because it seems like there is a little bit of a problem going on in Portland. I mean, look, black Americans want police to retain local presence. Even white people want to retain local presence, according to this poll. Like, look here. Everyone wants to retain the police local presence. Yeah, but, like, it doesn't really matter what the peasants want, right? It's what the Democrats want. This is why I like them. No, seriously, this is why I admire Democrats. They have power. When they swing their blue donkey cock around, shit gets done, motherfucker. Like, they accomplish things. They are the party of power. They are the party of Tsuyoi. Republicans don't do this. Like, oh, the elephant. What does the elephant do? It sleeps somewhere. When Democrats want something, they don't care about anyone else. It just gets done. But anyway, I got a little carried away. I got a little bit sweaty thinking of such a strong and powerful political party. So, let's calm ourselves a little bit with a dilemma. This is from Reddit. See, Sargon never read you from Reddit, did he? Like, in his week is stupid. Did he ever read you from Reddit? No, he didn't. That's why I'm better than you. Look at this. Our relationship advice. Alright, someone is seeking advice. The bat signal is up. Like, I need to answer this. So, my boyfriend, she's 18 and he's 29. That's very progressive. You know, like, seriously, all you guys that are 18 and you don't have a girlfriend, just wait until you're 29. This is what I'm saying, okay? Just wait until you're 29 and all dreams are coming true. But anyway, so the boyfriend tricked her. Said he was into BDSM. Like Shuan had, right? So he'd have me doing burpees, planking, wall sits, and push-ups with him on my back sometimes. How... Can you picture that in your head? Like an 18-year-old doing push-ups with a 29... I don't know. I was into it, and he said he loves watching girls get pushed to their physical and mental limits when they submit to him. Then after a few months of this, he admitted he was just trying to get me in better shape because he didn't like having the cushy with me as much as before at my old weight. Should I be offended? Man, like, I love this. I love the world where you need to go on the internet and ask complete strangers whether or not you should be offended. Like, how is this like Schrodinger's offense when you might or might not be offended? It's like, is it culturally permissible to be offended, or is it the other way? Like, do you have to be offended because culture demands it? What do you guys think though? Like, should she be offended? Or I think she should. I think the guy should be locked up for what he did. It's horrible. Imagine if that would happen to you. Like having a big booby lady that gets you to do burpees, gets you to do planking and all sits, and then forces you to do push-ups as she sits on your back. Horrible, I know. And it's all so that you can get in shape and lose weight. And after you lost the weight, you need to ask yourself, should I be offended? I'm going to jump a little bit out of a character here, and I want to thank you all for the super chats if I got any, because, man, like, I need to use them to buy pills, medication for me. Like, this has damaged my brain. This news is some of the most ridiculous thing that I have read all year. And you need to understand, these are real people. Like, this has happened, okay? This has transpired. This exists in the real world with real people. So this lady decides to become an activist, okay? So she starts a hashtag that I can't say on YouTube because they don't like you saying the hashtag. It's like the me for, okay? Also me, you know, like another. And it's not very popular. Like, it doesn't go her way. She doesn't get the popularity she wants. So what she does then is she gets accused of racism. Horrible, right? Like, she gets accused of racism. How can you get rid of being accused of racism? Well, what she did is she created an imaginary friend on the Twitter. She created a persona of a Native American university professor. I'm not kidding. Like, she actually created a completely fake persona on the Twitter. And she put like a lot of work into it. Like, there was a lot of like that is like a really good account that she made. But she got bored of it, I suppose. You know, like she wanted to get rid of it after a while, because I guess like it's a full-time job to maintain a completely separate account and whatnot. So she kills her off because of COVID. The bisexual Native American professor. If I'm getting this right, yes you are, Sturgeon. Yes, you absolutely are. A white woman who started a failed organization for people in STEM only to be accused of racist harassment herself was exposed as having created an account where she pretended to be a non-existent queer Native American professor at Arizona University. Imagine creating an entire fake persona to interact so you could pretend to have an indigenous friend and not be considered racist, and then get rid of keeping it up so you killed them with a convenient pandemic. Just pointing it out, like the reason people found out is that and there were like a lot of people like offering condolences and stuff. Like, look, you know, like the fist and the like there were people taking this seriously. Here's the thing. When a university professor dies, and you know this if you actually attended the university and you pay attention to the classes and the things going around, when anyone that works at a uni passes away, the university will usually have like this black flag and announce it, you know, publicly. And people were wondering, it's like, why don't they care about this professor? Like, I bet a lot of activists were like, well, is this university against LGBT folk? Because it's like, she's bisexual, and why aren't they announcing her passing away? I mean, they announced it for other people. And apparently, they got to the root cause of the problem. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to cover my favorite segment of the week, which is cancel culture. Let's see who got the axe this week, so we do not behave like them, so that we do not get canceled. Well, apparently, a person that got canceled is Edward Ball, and he is the author of a very acclaimed anti-racist book called Life of a Klansman. And he was going to have a virtual talk at a university, but the brave students forced Tulane to cancel his talk. And by the way, like, this is a book that apparently was hailed by the New York Times as a haunting tapestry of interwoven stories that inform us about the resentment-bred demons that are all too present in our society today. But you know what? The students have a better view. They say the last thing we need is to allow someone who is even reflecting on the hatred of their ancestors to speak about white supremacy, even if their efforts come from a place of accountability. There is nothing that a book of white supremacy written by the descendants of a Klansman can do to promote or influence an anti-racist atmosphere. Stunning and brave, students. Stunning and brave. These are the children that are going to be the seeds of the future. These are going to be the people that will become our politicians and lead us through the dark days of tomorrow. Now, another researcher got canceled for publishing a horrible paper suggesting that poor people might find a way out of their poverty if they set long-term goals. And obviously this was interpreted as saying that poor people are guilty for their decisions. And we notice the Cringe Fringe releasing articles, statement from Faculty of Arts and Science and Wagner. Hundreds call paper unscholarly and racially violent. Journal editor regrets publishing the article. Who's to blame? The poor, of course. Fat-shaming politicians want to end capitalism. And there's many more, but these are the ones that I found it. So, obviously, good job. Good job, activists! See, now when you're going to debate someone like Vosh on the internet and you're going to say something like, well, you know, like poor people can climb out of poverty if they set long-term goals, he will be like, study, study, do you have a study? Can you produce right now, right this instant, live on a stream, a study for me to read? And you will not be able to produce because the activists made absolutely sure that you're incapable of by retracting this study. Good job, activists. All private parties are going to be cancelled in the city of Los Angeles after the mayor decided he is authorizing the city to shut off the water and the power to any house or business that are hosting any parties, or this is like some word that I didn't know the American language has, unauthorized large gatherings. See, this is, wasn't there like that piece of paper, the Constitution, that the mayor is probably now wiping its ass with, you know, saying that people have a right to a peaceful assembly and whatnot? Well, apparently now, not even about now. Here's the thing. A lot of people said that this has to do with the pandemic. No. You haven't read the news. Okay? Like, you haven't read the news. This comes after there was a party at Beverly Crest and some gang-related activity happened, which ended with a shooting. And because of that, no one is allowed to have parties. It's almost like vibes from communism in my country, when the teacher would find out that Billy has stuck gum under the desk, and then no one was allowed to bring gum at school. And the teacher would have like this big boner of authority going like, I got those kids to comply. I got them to bend to my will. See, this is why I love the Democrats. Like, this is the party of strength. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the people. They just do what they want. I want to be on the winning team. I want to be the party of Tsuyoy, the party of muscle, the one that just whips everyone into compliance. How can you not admire strength? That should be their motto, actually. You know, the Democrats, strength, unity, conviction. Do you think the Republicans stand in their way? Like, no, they're going to remove the filibuster. They're going to stack the Supreme Court. The only thing right now that's opposing the Democrats, the only thing is Trader Jose. Have you heard about it? Because I didn't. Like, this is the first time. Apparently, people said that they need to change their name. You know, like the other Browns, like Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben, and then all the other brands that realized that they need to coming to 2020. Initially, Trader Jose said the same, but then when they actually talked with the people buying their brand, they figured out, it's like, well, no, wait a minute. Like, the people that are buying our stuff, they don't want us to change, so we're just going to keep the brand. There is a meltdown on Twitter because of this, and I really don't have time to show it all. Like, I would have at least 2 or 3 hours in order to go through all of it. But you can just close your eyes and imagine just how people reacted to their decision not to change. It's almost like you would think that they're starting an authoritarian regime or something. Like, it's the most evil that has been done in this entire year, given to how people have reacted over this decision. But the fact that cancel culture is intensifying so much right now, there are certain people that are speaking out against it. And one of these people seems to be Bill Maher. So he says something really interesting. He says cancel culture, it's a form of social murder. And he goes on and says, Barry, the fact that they call you a centrist or right-winger, I mean, if a hip millennial Jewish bisexual girl living in San Francisco is not a liberal, then who is these days? Oh, Bill Maher, I can show you a couple. I can show you a couple. But anyway, cancel culture is about punishment. It is about making a person radioactive. It's about taking away their job. If a conversation with people that we disagree with becomes impossible, what is the way that we solve conflict? I can't say this on YouTube because it's problematic. Right? But the most interesting cancellation of today seems to be Antifa. Their t-shirts apparently are not able to be sold on Teespring anymore. Now, there are many other shops that sell t-shirts online. It's not like they don't have alternative, but I guess it's the principle of the matter that really upset them. Now, I were to go through their complaints and read you what exactly they say, but here's the thing. I understand from journalists that Antifa isn't real, like it's not a thing, it doesn't exist. As such, I'm not going to pollute my audience with fake news from people that don't exist. But in the unlikely case that they actually are real and they do exist, then I'm going to ask them to read this comic. That has been shown to me several times, and since then I have been enlightened. I see the truth now. Public service announcement. The right to free speech means the government can't arrest you for what you say. It doesn't mean that anyone else has to listen to your bullshit or host you while you share it. The First Amendment doesn't shield you from criticism of consequences. If you're yelled at, boycotted, have your show cancelled, or get banned from an internet community, your free speech rights aren't being violated. It's just that the people listening think you're an asshole and they're showing you the door. Now, I'm going to show you a video of this organization that doesn't exist. And if you're the person that has to review this video, like if you work for YouTube and you have to review it and see if there's anything wrong that should require demonetization, like take into account no one gets hurt, alright? No one, not a single person has been injured in the making of this video. So as we see, we get a car that stops, right? Like it stops, it sees people. Like, okay, fine. And you have these gentlemen from an organization that isn't real throwing a bike in front of the car and actually damaging the car. To which the car just, you know, does this. And yeah, people are upset. Now, I don't know why they're upset. Because, I mean, his bike insurance will cover it, right? Like, I understand property is not as important as human lives. It's just private property, bro. It's just a piece of material. Like, why is everyone upset about this? It's just, no one got hurt. No one got harmed. I don't understand the complaining. Not to mention, like, they actually stalked this guy all the way to his house. They wanted to see who he is. Turns out he was a very muscular individual that eats a lot of protein and very little soy. I have to eat soy, by the way. Like, I'm on a diet. I actually lost 4 kilograms. It's working. But I have to eat soy. It's inhumane. I mean, it's horrible. Alright? So anyway, They go to his house, and then they have like a little spat back and forth, and then they leave because the guy looked as if he can handle himself. He was the type of guy that I guess has AoE damage with his fist. Like, he looks like the type of individual that if he were to punch me, I would be sent flying through the hospital and all the way into the graveyard. But not only that, like, 4 other people sitting next to me would be hurt as well. So yeah, they didn't really push the envelope too much. Now, here's why it's a good thing you chose to watch my video, because I get to keep you safe from the evil La Polizia. I inform you of things that you should not do. So apparently this guy decided to do something that is absolutely ridiculous. Have a funny channel on YouTube, like humor on YouTube. Like, how do you say, did you not read the recent terms of service? And he had this video, first person approacher is back. Fresh game to hunt on the urban savannah. So what he does is he drives his bike, approaches random women, and tries to hit on them. He initiates, look at this, like, this is awful. Can you imagine someone doing something like this? He initiates flirtatious conversations. What type of man does something like this? Like, what type of a monster initiates flirtatious conversations with women? This is just unthinkable. And apparently, his channel, which has 995 subscribers, and the video apparently went viral. 26,000 views. Oh my god. More than 26,000. Can you imagine? The menace. He's a public menace. And the police apparently arrested him for harassment. Now, see, this is why it's important that you watch my channel, because I bet all of you thought that harassment is when you go to the same person and you bother them after they say no, right? You bother them again and again. No. Look, if you go to different multiple people and you initiate flirtatious conversation, that's illegal. See? I'm doing my part. Teaching men not to rape. V's channel, 2020. Look how much knowledge you get. Also, if you happen to be in Bangalore, take into account that if you occupy a woman reserved seat, even if it is empty, you're going to get a fine. Man, am I not spreading law and order here? Like, am I not making sure that everyone is equipped with the knowledge not to get in trouble with La Polizia? You can thank me by giving me a super chat. See how smooth I sneak that in? See, like a snake. Like a snake. You didn't even notice when I did the self-insert here, like the sponsored content. Now here's an interesting news. A woman throws hot coffee in the face of a man because he wasn't wearing a mask. Horrible. So what was this guy's excuse for trying to kill grandma? Well, apparently, he was eating a burrito, and his excuse is that it's difficult to eat a burrito while wearing a face mask. Do you believe him? Like, do you believe his excuse? Well, if you do, then you're a sucker. Because look, it is possible to have a mask and also eat food. Like, watch here, right? Like, look at this lady right here. Okay, she's taking the spaghetti. She's taking the spaghetti, and look what she does. Look what she does, all right? You see, why didn't he do this with the burrito? Why did he not do this with the burrito, I may ask? So there is absolutely no excuse. People keep asking me to also talk about Romanian news. Why do you want me to talk about Romanian news? Like, I live here. I don't want to talk about the news here. But I can tell you how the Romanian press sensationalizes news. Like, there were a couple of tourists on a picnic, and then Yogi Bear and Boo Boo shows up, and this is how the press reports it. Moments of absolute terror for a group of young men who came to a picnic. They have found themselves surrounded by bears. Yeah, apparently they got saved by a guy who drove a car towards the bears, and the bears fled. Yeah, I mean, this is what we get on television, right? Like, this is the Romanian news. What do you want me to tell you? It's like, okay. Good job for the good guy with the car, I guess. Yogi and Boo Boo are going to be starving tonight. I mean, it's such a no news. It's almost as big of no news like this one. Photo surfaces showing TikTok executive posing with a communist flag. Legasp. I would have never thought, not TikTok. You must also love the framing of it. It's like photo surfaces. As if it's like the biggest discovery, you know, like an archaeological discovery. Indiana Jones thinks this should belong in a museum. I'm pretty sure, like, if you went and just asked them, they would have said, yeah, we support communism because we're from China. Like, it's not a secret. It's not like you snuck in their bedroom and went into their closet and found a skeleton over there. I mean, it's almost as shocking as finding out that women sometimes don't like each other. According to this, acrobat Sam Panda busted after Carter reports her for wearing thong on Myrtle Beach. So for some reason, it's not allowed, like it's not legally allowed to wear a thong on Myrtle Beach. I don't know why. And she was upset about this, tweeted on Facebook, if you are a woman and you decide to call the police on other women for their bodies on a beach in front of your teenage daughter, she wrote, you have allowed a 105-pound woman to get rushed, aggressively grabbed, manhandled, and cuffed. You allowed two women to be slut-shamed publicly on a beach for their bathing suits. I wonder, it's like, if you are a woman and you decide, like, so everyone else that's not a woman, I suppose, and does this, it's fine, according to her. Oh God, the news that I'm reading. Oh, at least I can end with something more uplifting. This sounds bad, but if you follow it to the end, it isn't. Okay. So an Armenian woman went to the airport, and you know, like when you go to the airport, like they X-ray your luggage. And they find a human skull, a femur, and a couple of other bones. Now, as you can imagine, the airport security got a little bit panicked. They got a little bit like, yikes. So they detained her. And it turns out it was actually the remains of her husband. And she wanted to bury him in the country where he was born. It's like, aww. But I'm pretty sure, like, there must be some other proper procedures you can do in order to do this. Like, you don't just show up with the bones. Kind of reminds me of what used to happen with me in my country. You see, when we were at med school, we had to procure human bones in order to study anatomy. And there were two ways you could procure them. You could either purchase one made out of plastic from a store, but that was kind of expensive. Or you could go to a grave digger. I'm not even making it up. Like, no, you could actually go to a grave digger, and he would give you some bones for you until the cops realized about this, and they cracked down on this business. So people couldn't get skeletons that way. But anyway. Now, there was this friend of mine who got his skeleton from a higher year student. Like, he finished anatomy, he didn't need it anymore, so he would give it to someone else, right? So he buys this skeleton, and then as he goes into the bus, he starts looking at it, because, like, he's fascinated. It's the first time he sees one, right? He wants to look at it. The people around him start freaking out, and he just doesn't understand why. What did you do? Enough about me. Hope you liked This Week in Stupid, and if you did, do leave a comment. If any of these Weeks in Stupids are missing, you can search for them on my BitChute channel. All are there. Everything is there. And I will see you guys tomorrow.